continues to grow here and the excitement continues to grow. Now, in terms of what is expected today, the former president officially in town. I want to show you some video of him voting earlier today. And this was this afternoon after finishing up very early this morning campaigning in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Now, if you watch the polls, you know that they are razor thin in the race between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. So many are saying this could go either way. And when the former president was asked by reporters today about if he would accept the outcome of the election if he did not win, listen to what he had to say.
They're concerned that if you lost this.
Now, in the last few hours, the former president has posted several videos and messages to X urging supporters who are voting in person today to stay in line. You heard from Caroline and Matt at some of the polling locations about those long lines. He is urging his supporters to stay in those lines and make sure that they cast their ballot. Now, as far as his watch party tonight, based on a word from local law enforcement, he is expected to arrive here between 10 and 11:30. At a news conference over the weekend, law enforcement officials said that they expected him to arrive at his watch party between 10 and 11:30. So we're looking at between 30 to an hour and 30 minutes before he is expected to arrive here at the convention center. And he will be greeted by hundreds of his supporters. Where media is set up, we kind of split the room. But in this section behind me, I would guess that there are over 400 people in place in front of the stage waiting for his arrival. Excited about him coming, but also very excited about the way that the scale is tipping at this point. Trump collecting big but pretty expected prizes as he's named the projected winner here in Florida and then also Texas. No projected winners have been called for swing states. We know everyone is watching that very closely, but Fox News is tracking data as it's tabulated that shows Trump is the lead at this moment in North Carolina and Georgia, two states that he very much courted during the campaign. But again, votes there are still being counted. But when it was announced here during this watch party, you heard the supporters here cheering, so they see this as a glimmer of hope. Back to you.
Winds are intense down there, Randy.
Yeah, I guess still a little bit of excitement in the air about the win for people who have really rallied around the former president as he hit the road for this next wave of campaign as he was vying for the White House again. Now, as you mentioned, the big headline this morning captured enough electoral votes for the presidency. Now, when we talk about the road to the White House, the states that were called, former President Trump got the expected states, Texas, for example, Florida, he captured our state. But this morning, the conversation has to be about the impact of those swing states. Just before 6 o'clock this morning, Trump was named the projected winner in Wisconsin. It was a state he won in 2016, but lost to President Joe Biden in 2020. Trump was also called the projected winner in Pennsylvania, the biggest swing state prize. Now, this morning, votes are still being counted in Michigan. He's leading there. If he captures that state, he will have cracked the blue wall again. He did it in 2016 when he won Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, states that typically lean Democrat. He didn't win those states in 2020, which cost him the election. So this is a bit of a redemption moment for him. Now, at his election watch party last night, there was a lot of excitement and confidence that the work of over 900 campaign rallies was starting to pay off. Now, Trump also captured other swing states, including Georgia and North Carolina. We're still waiting on the final results, or the projected results from Arizona and Nevada as well. What do you have to say to the alleged victim? I know a lot of the conversation coming up today.
In the middle of a criminal investigation, and I can't say anything.
Fox 35's Randi Hildreth has been on top of this story the past few weeks, and Randi, Hill spoke to you while she was leaving court today.
Yeah, she answered a couple questions about what's going through her mind, her message to the alleged victim, and her thought process moving forward. It is scary to think that people were inside of that laundromat at the time. I want to step out of the scene so you can see the damage behind me. We do know that two were transported to the hospital. One of those people who was transported in pretty serious condition. I want to point your attention to this crew that is gathered right in front of the laundromat. In the last 45 minutes, I've seen them with flashlights go going inside of the building. Today, a grand jury agreed that there was enough evidence to connect Stephen Stearns to the murder of 13-year-old Maddie Soto. It's almost 2 months to the day that her body was found. I want to point your attention to the hours of this story, 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. That means Rahed Shahada was shot and killed less than an hour before he was set to get off and go home. And to be honest with you, Marlisa, I have not been able to stop thinking about this family and the pain that they are going through right now. Some good news is now Leesburg police believe they are closer to getting justice for this family because they know who they are looking for. We did have a wave of people who moved to Florida specifically to live in Florida and live in a state under Governor DeSantis. I think on the flip side, since COVID and what we've seen after that, you have had people who don't really like some of the policies, procedures, and promises that have come from his administration. The mayor used words like disappointing, concerning, and sad to describe today's bombshell announcement. New video shows the moments Orlando City Commissioner Regina Hill bonded out of the Orange County Jail. Just hours before,
Regina Hill.
Hill was standing before a judge to answer for the 7 charges she now faces, including multiple counts of exploitation of an elderly person and fraud.
Enter plea of not guilty on all the counts.
Attorney James Smith represented Hill today. He says Hill continues to maintain she did nothing wrong.
Obviously, the allegations against her are serious and shocking, but it's incredibly important to remember one thing. In the eyes of the law, she's presumed to be innocent.
But the Florida Department of Law Enforcement said it has found evidence that shows otherwise.
Mrs. Hill effectively betrayed the trust of her community by taking advantage of a 96-year-old elderly citizen, which is one of the most vulnerable in that community.
State investigators say they've been looking into Hill since February 2023 after receiving a tip from her former aide. Investigators say through witness interviews and a review of financial documents, they found Hill established power of attorney over a 96-year-old woman who she met in her district, allegedly bought a home with the woman listed as a co-owner without her approval, and allegedly spent over $100,000 of the victim's money on things like a facelift, a New Year's Eve vacation in Miami, and spending money on home repairs.
Hill moved into a vacant home that the victim had inherited from her family and then used the victim's personal finances to pay for renovations on that home, while the victim's primary residence where she lived remained in disrepair.
Investigators say the alleged acts date back to 2021. They say the 96-year-old woman didn't realize she had signed over financial power to Hill and didn't realize the extent of the alleged spending until she was approached during the investigation. The deputy who pulled the woman over for speeding doesn't have 2 jobs. The sheriff's office says that he did put that sticker on his windshield, but he uses it to help solve crimes. The woman I spoke to says that that sticker on that windshield raises safety concerns for her. Sherry McGuire doesn't deny she was speeding down State Road 528.
Yes, I was speeding. I admit it.
And she understands she got a ticket for breaking the law.
He gave me a ticket for going 64 in a 55.
But she was confused about the vehicle the Orange County deputy used to pull her over.
It was a Chrysler, I think like a black or dark gray Chrysler minivan, and it had a Lyft logo right in the center of the windshield. So it's like, okay, this is weird.
McGuire snapped this picture and shared it with Fox 35, flashing patrol lights in the car's grill. And if you look closely, a Lyft sticker on the front windshield.
I was just completely shocked. I told him, I'm like, that's lying, that's deceitful, and it's not safe for the general public.
Fox 35 sent the picture to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. They confirmed it's real. We were told a deputy from its fugitive task force was working traffic details Sunday morning and stopped McGuire for speeding. They said, quote, he placed the Lyft sign in the vehicle for more of an incognito appearance in his fugitive role. But to be clear, he is not a Lyft driver. Criminal defense attorney Stacey Felter says law enforcement isn't breaking the law by pretending to work for the ride-hailing service while on duty.
They have every ability to do that and use any tools that they find that are necessary to prevent crimes, to patrol.
Although law enforcement can, McGuire questions if they should. She says she pulled over because she saw the flashing lights, but says the lift sticker made her question if she was being stopped by a real deputy.
There's people that impersonate officers all the time, and so you see it all the time in the news. So how do I know that that wasn't somebody just impersonating an officer trying to pull me over? I mean, he looked legit, but that is definitely not safe.
So I asked the sheriff's office, what should someone do if they are concerned that they're not being pulled over by a real deputy? One, they say call 911. The dispatcher should be able to verify if that person is a real deputy. Two, they say drive slowly and safely to a well-lit public area. And they say number three, ask for that deputy or that officer's name and their badge number. Also, for reference, I did reach out to Lyft for this story to get a statement. Still waiting to hear back. Now, in terms of how folks are feeling here, I spoke with at least 4 business owners today, and they say they are frustrated because they have lost another day of business. When Seminole Town Center was supposed to open this morning, it didn't. Still no power. 10 a.m. rolled into 11 a.m., into noon, into 1 p.m., and on into 2 p.m. Still dark.
Nobody knows what's happening.
Small business owners like Richard Mason are in the worst kind of waiting game because dollars are on the line. His store, Dear Universe, inside the mall was forced to close for a second day. How much do you estimate you lost in business?
Probably about $1,000 at least.
He says the business owners haven't heard from the mall's property owner. Hi, Mike. My name is Randi Hildreth. I'm a reporter with Fox. And our calls weren't answered or returned today either. Florida Power and Light shut the power off Thursday. They say the mall's owner was behind on bills. They wouldn't confirm by how much or if it'd been paid by late Friday, but in a statement said in part, quote, while FPL doesn't take lightly the decision to turn off anyone's power, we must treat all customers fairly, given unpaid electric bills are ultimately paid for by all our customers in the form of higher rates. Now, this isn't the first time late payments and the mall's name have shared a headline. Last summer, Seminole County said the town center owed close to $1 million in unpaid property taxes. Some business owners say they're nervous to think they may have to close over the weekend, and they're frustrated wondering what happened to the money they paid to rent their shops.
Every month, on time, I'm paying you the rent. And you give me the space, but yet I can't get into my space for now 2 days because you took our money and I don't know what you did with it, but I paid you.
City leaders say they plan to meet with the owners next week in Miami to continue discussions. Seminole County leaders also said that they plan to work with the city of Sanford to help tenants who have been impacted.